from Sports Shoes, and I'm here in Val Thorens with HOKA athlete Jim Walmsley, and we're going to be talking about his shoe rotation, and he's going to be taking us through the range that he uses mostly for his activity. So Jim, over to you. We've first got the Speedgoat, so you could talk to us about the shoe and how and when you use it.
So this is the Speedgoat 5. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of the HOKA lineup. I would say when you head out the door, you basically know the Speedgoat is going to be able to handle what you're throwing at it. I have a variant of the Speedgoat with about 8mm lugs. That's quite interesting for that. This one actually, for the most part, when I'm going exploring, adventuring, I really like that. I know I'm going to be suited for the situation.
I like the idea of an 8mm lug actually. For UK, I think that would be perfect.
Yeah, I think with the UK in mind too, and the 8mm lug sort of stuff, it's got matrix upper too. So water in, water out, mud stays out. It works quite nice for that. But the one thing about it, it was a prototype for some of the French guys in Thailand World Champs. So all of the prototypes actually have a little French flag there too.
Nice, yeah.
So a little French flair, but I think I'm the only non-French maybe rocking it around.
Yeah, I like the fact this is kind of like an everyday shoe as well. I really like this for the cushion and going out just kind of those everyday trails. I mean, I'm rocking the Speedgoat in a different colour here with some nice socks and
it's a
strong sock game. You like that, don't you? Yeah, really nice. But this is probably a good shoe for somebody who just wants one shoe to kind of do everything, you'd say.
Yeah, if you're going to put one shoe into your, especially when you're a dedicated trail runner or you have your road shoe and then a trail shoe or a winter shoe, that you can't go wrong with the Speedgoat. I think it's, especially from consumer standpoint, it's gonna be on the more durable side. So you'll get a better value out of beating the hell out of this one.
Let's move on to this one, mate. This is a new shoe, the HOKA Zinal 2, quite exciting. It's changed a lot from the first edition. You could talk to us about this one and how and when you use it.
Yeah, I really like that they continued the 5mm traction lug stuff from the light-based Vibram on this. So you get the full coverage. Really big update from the Zinal 1. They've dropped a lot of weight on it and gives it a lot more dexterity than what you'd see in the HOKA range. So it's definitely something different. It's still a HOKA, but you definitely get the nimbleness of dexterity, and that's probably more similar to a lot of popular shoes that you get in the UK with almost being a bit closer to the ground and feeling it. It feels more like what you'd perhaps use for like a fell sort of running.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of key things with this is very lightweight, isn't it? And
yeah, I
like
think
you said,
in
low
my
profile.
size, it's about, I think I have US 10, 10.5, and I think it's 210 grams in my size.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that's
I think they
light.
put it on the internet at 205 maybe.
Yeah, so it's great for short distance racing, I would say, this one.
Yeah, I typically, when I've used this, I have a little mission in mind up my sleeve and a little Strava segment, perhaps, maybe one of Francois, or we have crazy skimo athletes in our valley that are very, very fit and strong, especially on vertical racing. So if I want to go pick on one of them, this one would for sure be the weapon of choice.
So you heard it here first. That's a Strava segment shoe. I'll have to remember that one. That's great advice. And then we have the Tecton X2. So again, a new shoe for this season. Nice colorway again. I can see you're wearing this one. So talk us about this one.
Yeah. So I think I really, really like the update on the upper. Basically, I think it's made it a more comfortable shoe day to day, and I think it holds up really well. The matrix, water in, water out, works great. Doesn't hold much water in the shoe, but from initially getting the prototype at least 3 years ago, immediately it's the plush forefoot is kind of how I describe it, and then it's just a really responsive, smooth stride throughout the shoe. So when you're running more quick pace, it feels really natural for a trail shoe, and then it's covered in the Vibram light, but it's kept to a 3mm lug. So this is where it can get more exciting when you do take it on a trail, but for the most part, you're going to make up time on the faster sections. Being lightweight cushion is kind of how I describe it. A bit lighter than the Speedgoat.
Pitch more as a race shoe?
Yeah, I mean, something like Western States, I think it's great. It's basically the same lugs, same feel to it as what I'm using at UTMB as well. I think sometimes the conditions could either, whether it's a short section, if it's a short section during the race, I would err towards the lighter version. something a bit more nimble and just get through the section, even if it's not pretty. But if the whole race is a bit different weather, then perhaps something like the Speedgoat that's going to handle a bit more. But that's where we also get into a couple prototype variations that we have as well, and we have tricks for that too.
So moving on, this is quite interesting stuff. I'm just going to grab it from behind here now. So we've done the 3 shoes that you can purchase that are available now at SportsShoes.com, and now we've also got a prototype version. So just talk us through this, actually, Jim. I'm quite interested.
Yeah, so the idea with this is we're basically working on how we can get the highest level of performance without looking at the supply chain logistics cost side of things. And I'm working mainly with the HOKA office in Annecy. Yeah, we actually, probably the coolest stat about this shoe is I have a version of it at 230 grams. So it's 1 ounce heavier than the Zinal or a lot of the lightest shoes out there for racing, but the level of cushion you're getting with this compared to the weight and the protection you're getting with the Gator, there's basically nothing on the market, I would say, like that, which is pretty sweet.
So just in terms of the kind of testing this and developing this kind of shoe, and also for future ranges, how much are you involved in that process with HOKA?
Yeah, so with this one, I'm quite involved. And then the idea is to probably have trickle down ideas from what they can take from this shoe and then apply it to future generations of the Tecton. So from what I understand, I think people are starting to test the Tecton X3. Apparently it looks a lot more like this one, I think. And even something like the Zinal has a little bit of the compromised Gator on it, collar. No one likes rocks in their shoes, but this one's just absolutely bomber. It keeps everything out, and I definitely notice it even when I go to just the regular Tecton X2. We've tried quick laces with it, and I found that actually just regular laces really lock it in a lot better. So that's why I've changed that out. And then probably stat-wise and what we're talking about, foam, it's full PIBA, top and bottom on the 2 layers, still has the dual parallel plates that you see in the Tecton, but we've actually played a lot around with the shape of the plates as well as the thickness of the plates. So the foam's a lot softer, so we've had to try to find ways to actually give it a little bit more stiffness so it's got the springy responsiveness that the regular Tecton X2 has, because that one's in the EVA. So playing with different foams, we're also modifying the plates. And then I like to think that us going with the Matrix upper in this one was a big response back to like bring the Matrix back for the Tecton, because it's been really well liked and they've really refined the toe and stuff in the Tecton X2. So I think there's lots of benefits to that.
And speaking with you now, it's clear to see that you're directly involved in that process of testing and developing, and HOKA obviously learning about what makes a good shoe, what athletes require from a shoe, and that's going to be influenced in future designs. I know we can't obviously buy this in shops now, but come say next future seasons, a couple of years down the line, we might see some of these technologies in some of the shoes.
2 simple changes to get more traction out of the same shoe. So we've taken another prototype with, it's regularly 3 mil lugs. We've got 5 mil lugs like the Speedgoat, but then we also even moved the lugs out further, and then we're experimenting with like different heights of different lugs and patterns that way. But actually moving the rubber out closer to the edge gives it a bit more grippiness, is what we found as well. And that just takes a lot more detail from a manufacturing standpoint, that basically what they're producing in China for us to use as athletes for the prototypes has just been a work of art, and they've been able to shed 50 grams on what looks like the same pair of shoes, but it's just it's a completely different animal, and it's been really fun to work with.
It sounds it, and it's very interesting. And also now, just talking about shoes and racing, and the beginning of September we've got the big Chamonix Loop, the big race that you're training for right now. What shoe are you going to race in for that?
That one will be it's this shoe again. So they're all numbered. So with the numbers we have the weights of everything what we've done, but this is the same one as UTMB last year, but we'll probably, depending on conditions, definitely consider 5 mil lug version. And then the plate in here is thicker than the production plate. So there's a bit more stiffness with the plate, but a lot more plush softness with the foam. So that's what we're looking at running for UTMB.
And just something else I was going to ask you is if you couldn't use the prototype, which of the current shoes would you use for the Chamonix Loop?
I'd be in the Tecton.
Tecton.
Yeah. Because the bones of this shoe is the Tecton X too. So they're direct siblings without a doubt. Yeah, it's the same feel to it. And the benefit of the Tecton X2 is it locks you in a more stable position that I think majority of people would like, where this one I would say is almost more expert level in that it's a little more wild sometimes. The Piba foam reacts interesting on trails and makes the shoe experience, I would say, more dynamic. So most people are going to enjoy the ride in the Tecton X2 really well, and it's still got the plush softness, responsiveness to it. So that's what I'm looking for at UTMB. It's not overly technical race. And basically, yeah, that's the one I would choose.
Excellent.
No. Pretty Caroline, oh, 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 Stone Cold.